What is good, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Paul. I make videos about Japanese society, life, and culture from the viewpoint of a long-term foreign resident. I've been in Japan for 19 years now, and today I'm going to share with you 4 side benefits or secret benefits that you will actually have a chance to unlock when you live in Japan. And I say these are side or secret because they're probably things you've never thought about or heard about. And so without further ado, let's just get right into the first one. And the first one is, no matter what hobby you might have or think about picking up, and you're gonna go down the rabbit hole of that hobby, I can pretty much guarantee you that the rabbit hole for that hobby in Japan goes much, much deeper. You see, the Japanese take their hobbies very seriously, basically taking them to lengths that are not common elsewhere in the world. Now, if you're really into anime or you're into martial arts, you probably are already keen to this idea, but it's pretty much everything. Almost any hobby you can think of, from collecting things to activities and everything in between, the Japanese just go hard. And I think it's part and parcel with the culture here of really paying attention to details and being detail oriented. So what you'll find is that Japanese will be very hyper focused on a particular one hobby rather than being a jack of all trades and spreading yourself out over several different hobbies. The general culture is to focus on one, and I think this goes in part back to the Japanese school culture, where when you choose a club or a sport, you focus on only that one club or sport. When you join baseball, you only play baseball all year. It's not like in America where you have a season, football in the fall, basketball in the winter, and then baseball in the spring. No, you choose one thing and that's what you're doing. So basically, whatever hobby you might want to get into, you're gonna have a real chance to connect with really like-minded people, and there's gonna be resources and places to go and tournaments to enter, and whatever you might think of is possible, you'll probably be able to find in Japan because people really take their hobbies seriously. If you come to Japan with no hobby at all, you probably have a really good chance of picking one up. All right, so the second side benefit you may not have thought about in terms of living in Japan is Japan is actually a really good place to improve your health. And this is true for a number of reasons. First, if you eat just ordinary Japanese food in restaurants, if you shop in the supermarkets, even when we're talking snack food and the like, you're going to find there is a lot less preservatives and a lot less additives in foods in Japan. And it's one of those things, when I read a ingredient list in America, it looks like a chemistry experiment in a lot of ways. And so you're going to clean up your diet a lot just by living in Japan. The second thing is, embrace Japanese portion sizes. You'll find that portion sizes in restaurants are a lot smaller, and if you embrace that size, not only when you eat out, but when you cook or eat at home, you're getting like a normal human amount of calories during your day. I can't stress how much this is a reverse culture shock for me when I go back to the States. I know when I order a meal in a restaurant that it's going to be big when it arrives, but I'm still surprised when they set it down in front of me, and I'm just like, how am I supposed to eat all this? The third way your health can improve is if you embrace the Japanese habit of drinking non-sweetened teas. Green tea, Chinese oolong tea, mugicha or barley tea. Basically, most people just drink tea all day long, hot or cold, and it's 0 calorie. So you're not drinking the energy drinks, you're not drinking cola. All those things are available, of course, but the penchant is to really just drink non-calorie beverages. So you're gonna have a chance to lose weight through cutting all those calories from your drinks and your portion sizes. And finally, this is also true for anyone from Europe who is watching this, but in America, we live out of our cars, drive to work, do very little walking, and in Japan, you're going to do a lot more walking, at least if you're in the cities, because you're going to have to walk to the train station, walk to the bus station, walk from the station to work, etc. And all those extra steps add up, or bicycle as well. You're going to be just less sedentary in Japan. So I've known a lot of people who got a lot more healthy just by living here, including me. Okay, this third benefit really is best explained through an analogy. And this analogy comes to us from the late, great Ken Seroy. Now, Ken Seroy is not his real name, and I'm not really sure if he's dead or not. I don't think so, but he used to write a blog called Japanese Rule of Seven, and sometime last year, the entire archives of that blog just disappeared. I guess he decided to pull the plug, which is really unfortunate because he had some really interesting insights into Japanese culture and society. And he was a pretty humorous writer as well. This analogy is, apparently as a child he had this fantasy where Abraham Lincoln would come from the past and Ken Seroy would be elected to show Abraham Lincoln around modern society. So he'd have the opportunity to show Abraham Lincoln how a smartphone works, what cars are, what a TV is. Basically bring Abraham Lincoln up to speed in the modern world. Now you see, when you come to Japan as a foreigner, you are Abraham Lincoln. Or if you're female,
Abraham Lincoln.
What that means is Japanese people are really proud of their society and culture, and they really want to share it with foreign people and help them to understand why it's so great or why it's so wonderful to be Japanese and live in Japan. And so as a result, you will get lots of unsolicited help. You'll find that people will go out of their way to teach you various things about the culture, and very often to the people that you've just met. And basically what ends up happening is people are very, very helpful because they want to show Abraham Lincoln the modern world. Basically show you, the foreigner, how wonderful Japan works, how wonderful Japan is. And so I think that's a really good analogy. It's pretty much true. It's going to be a benefit for anyone who's newly arrived in Japan because you're going to find Japanese to be so helpful and friendly and really will go out of their way to help you to understand certain things about Japanese society. Now the downside of this is, well, maybe not a downside, but I do have to say that once you've lived here for a while and you know how Japanese society works for the most part, you stop being so interesting. You stop being Abraham Lincoln. When Japanese people discover that you are when Japanese people discover that you are already plugged into how things work, yeah, they no longer need to help you, so you're not as interesting anymore. You've outgrown the Abraham Lincoln phase. Okay, before I talk about the final one, I just want to quickly remind you, I do have an Instagram account, Xchapter. Please follow me over there. And I also have my podcast, The Journal of Japan Journeys. And that's where I interview other long-term foreigners and find out their stories about why they're in Japan and why they're staying for so long. Those will be linked below, so please check that out. Okay, the fourth and final one that I want to talk about today is in Japan as a foreigner, especially as a visible foreigner, but it's definitely a thing for Asians who look Japanese. I mean, you might be stealthy at first, but when people learn that you're actually from a foreign country, a lot of opportunities can open up. When Japanese learn that you speak another language or that you represent another country, you'll be invited to join in certain gatherings or events. You might be asked to speak at something. And it's a lot of fun often when you get invited to this sort of thing. It's a great opportunity to meet people and make connections. Sometimes this actually turns into a paying gig. Like there was one time when a gentleman was talking to me and he asked me why I was in Japan, and when he found out I was a university teacher who specialized in public speaking, he said, well, I have a whole crew of people in my company who aren't very good at giving presentations in English. Can you come and teach them? We drew up a contract. I made some money off this side gig and it was really quite nice. There's, of course, the famous foreign priest gig in Japan. Japanese like to go all in on the foreign pageantry of a Western wedding, and that needs to include the priest or the pastor up at the front who marries the couple. And a lot of those pastors are fake. They're not actual pastors. They're just like a white guy or a black guy who acts as a minister and marries the couple. And I've known a couple people who have done the minister side gig. And it's not always for monetary gain either. I've been drawn into so many neighborhood festivals just because I was a foreigner. People see and they're like, oh, hey, come join in this dance, or hey, come carry the portable shrine with us for a little bit. And so those opportunities to join in a cultural event, and that's again kind of the Abraham Lincoln thing where they just want to really share this thing with you, the foreign person, that it creates these really great opportunities to connect with the people and connect with the culture. And so I guess that's really a shout out to the Japanese people for being so hospitable. So those are my 4 side benefits or secret benefits for living in Japan as a foreigner. Let us know in the comments if you have any additional ones that you would add. I'm still a small channel, so I pretty much am able to engage with most comments. I answer probably 90% of the comments that happen on my channel. So if you want to engage, by all means, comment below. Remember to like, subscribe, all those good things. But most of all, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.